Hey, it's Mike here, and I do a lot of reaction videos on different make money online methods. I comment what I like and what I don't like about them. However, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at a video called 4 1-minute habits that save me 20 plus hours a week, time management for busy people, from a channel, Liam Porritt. Now, the reason why this got my attention is that I always believe that time is money. And if we're wasting our time and we're not doing it productively and we're not saving it and applying our time to things that really matter, then we are just throwing money away. So I'm gonna go ahead and like this video here. If you all can like my video as well, it really helps out with my YouTube channel and I appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Let's jump into it.
So over the last 5 years, I've read pretty much every time management book out there. And there are 4 habits that I genuinely use every single day.
Here's the thing. I see a lot of people reading books about being productive or like reading books about saving time. And I always think to myself, like, so many people waste so much time just setting up systems where they don't take action to actually set up the system. Not that I'm saying it about this guy. I think this guy probably has his stuff together, but a lot of people waste a lot of time just like reading about productivity when they should actually be being productive.
To make my time management more efficient, which I think allows me to be a very busy corporate lawyer while also running a YouTube channel and a business, staying fit and keeping a healthy relationship with Beth. I also then find time to read, watch TV and see some friends even. So
it's hard to balance everything. Just like so many different things. You're supposed to like have a business, you're supposed to maintain your relationships with your spouse or your friends and spend time with your kids and exercise. It can be really daunting to try to maintain all of those. Most of us either fail or do poorly at least one of them.
So let's run through those 4 habits in this video. Habit number 1 is to treat work sessions like you're going to the cinema. So if you're not one of the losers, unless you have genuine bladder issues, who needs to go to the loo during a film, you will have prepared yourself to be sat in a seat watching the film, immersed in that experience for maybe 2.5 hours without moving. And I think we should treat work sessions in order to enable us to get into a state of flow, of genuine immersion in our work.
Try doing that if you've got little kids at home. It's really hard.
In exactly the same way. I picked up this idea a few years ago from Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, and it has honestly been a complete game changer for me. I think just going into a work session thinking, I actually need to prepare to sit here for an hour, hour and a half and be really focused has really changed how I think about work sessions. It means that before I sit down to work in the office or at home, I make sure I've been to the toilet, stretched my legs, got myself a drink and a healthier than I probably would at the cinema snack, and then also made sure that my phone is on silent, not going to disturb me, make sure that notifications or do not disturb is on, allowing me to really immerse myself in the work that I'm about to do.
It's definitely good turning those things off. I tried to like turn off email, turn off Facebook, turn off anything else that's going to distract me. I think this is good advice.
And just like when you're at the cinema, if you're like me and you find it hugely distracting and annoying when people are like rustling around in their popcorn and generally making noise around you, taking you out of that like state of flow of watching the film, I really strongly recommend that you use either a playlist or an app like Endel, today's sponsor, more on them later, to really block out any distracting noise. This is so important for me that for when I'm in the office, I have my AirPods Pro with the noise cancelling function on.
Those are amazing. AirPods Pro. If you're an iPhone person, and if you've tried them, they're amazing.
More discreet than my bigger Bose noise cancelling headphones that I wear when I'm at home. All of that then puts me in a state of mind where I am ready to get into a state of flow and immersion in the work that I'm going to do. The second habit is to batch tasks before you start. So batching is a very simple idea where rather than switching between, I'm going to water this plant here, and then I'm going to do a bit of reading, and then I'm going to do some work, and then I'm going to clean the floor upstairs. You try to batch similar tasks. So watering all of the plants at the same time.
That works really well. Like if I can sit down and record a bunch of these type of videos all at once, I'm going to be in the same like mindset throughout the whole process. If I try to do this and then I try to do a review video and then I try to set up something else, I just end up wasting a lot of time.
But once, which just generally makes life way more efficient. I think the question here is really just like, how do I implement batching day to day? And I think there are really 2 ways that I implement batching. The first is batching by project. And what I mean by that is that when I'm at work and I'm working on, let's say, something for my client, James, when I have all of the emails and documents open from James, it's way more efficient for me to do all all of the work for James while I have everything there and open than it is to do something for James and then think, oh, actually, I really need to do that thing for Sandra, so I'll just switch over and close everything and then need to open everything for Sandra and then open everything again for James later when I go back to James. Batching by project effectively means do everything for James and then everything for Sandra.
And if you've got your email open, you get an email from someone and they ask you for something, you start doing something else. I think email is one of the biggest productivity just disaster creators ever.
It sounds pretty obvious, but I think
Probably Messenger is worse though.
actually being really conscious of when you are switching between projects way too frequently is a hugely healthy mindset to adopt. It allows you to be much more efficient in how you're working, both practically in terms of not having to open and close different things for different projects, and also in terms of how your mind is operating. It is in the mindset of working for James. Do all of the work for James while your mind is focused and in that frame of mind, rather than switching between different projects. A top tip for me is when I'm at work and I'm working on, say, 3 different projects at once, I actually have a different desktop for each of those different projects. So I actually have to move between desktops, which obviously allows me to keep all
Wouldn't that be nice? I don't think everyone's going to have 3 different computers though.
of the stuff relevant to a single project open in one desktop all at once, and also creates resistance for me in terms of flicking between the different tasks across different projects. And the second kind of batching is just batching by task. So unless I get an insanely urgent email, I try not to reply to emails more than once every hour or 2. So I'll let my emails build up and then do the task of writing and replying to emails all at once. And I also batch tasks outside of work. So for example, when I'm cooking a meal, I'll make sure I cook 2 or 3 meals worth of that recipe, because
It's really smart. That's something that I've always wanted to do, is cook a bunch of stuff all at once, but like I never do it. Like there's so many things that you should do, but you just don't do it.
doesn't take massively more time to cook 2 or 3 times the amount, but obviously if I cook a new meal every single night, that takes way longer. And I also batch chores, so if I'm cleaning, I'll clean the entire house for 3 hours rather than doing bits
3 hours. You must have a big house. That's a long time to clean for.
and bobs here and there. So yeah, for me,
I prefer doing it like, how he said, bits and bobs here and there, because if I don't, especially again with young kids around, it just gets to be a mess.
batching is really all about just having a consciousness of doing more of this type of task or this type of project right now to avoid having to switch between things, losing focus, and overall just spending more time than I should be on those tasks. Alrighty, third habit is to try to avoid work before doing the work. And this is inspired by Grace Beverley's book, Working Hard, Hardly Working. So there are 2 ways that I try, and I think anyone can try, to avoid doing work myself in order to have more time for other stuff. The first is to delegate. I think in a work context, it's so easy to be given a task to instantly jump into doing it, and 5 hours later, you've finished.
I love delegating tasks. That's why I have multiple people working for me that I can give the tasks to that I could do myself, but I can save time so that I can do things like spend time with my family or work on other things. It costs me money, but it makes it so I can just save up my sanity.
So for me, the habit is really just spend 5 minutes thinking before I jump into this task. Are there other people who can more effectively do this than me? Are there people who could help, people with more expertise in this area than me? I really do genuinely find it so tough to delegate because I'm quite protective of my work. I really want the work to be high quality, but I think getting into a habit of considering options to outsource is absolutely critical if you want to make the most of your time.
It's hard letting go of things sometimes, especially if you want something done a specific way. If you can explain it to someone, they can do it, but you need to explain it exactly how you want it, or it's not going to be done that way. You need to be very specific. I use a software, and it's free to try to use it. Like, I know they have paid versions. I have a paid version of it, but you can try it for free, called Loom. I highly recommend it. You can do like screen recording, and you can just do like your picture or like your video or not. I mean, it's just so many different options. I use that to explain all my tasks.
And the second is to use tech or other resources. And I think in that 5-minute period where you're just thinking, can I do this more effectively? It's worth thinking, are there tech tools that I could use? Are there other people who've probably done this task before who might be able to say, actually, there's this really useful Excel formula that will solve all of your problems. Spend a couple of minutes digging around for tools or asking other people who have probably done that task before for how they did it and what lessons they learned before diving in. And fourth and final habit is to multitask. And if...
Wait a minute. I don't know. Everyone says multitasking is bad.
If you scour YouTube, you will find a ton of advice saying that multitasking is the least productive, most awful thing you can possibly do. And I generally do agree. I think batch.
That's because, like, isn't it what he was talking about before, going from like one thing to another thing, one thing to another thing? Let's see what he says about this.
And focusing on doing one thing at a time is absolutely essential to productivity, but I have one specific rule that allows me to multitask and save so much time every week, and that is to use my brain and my body at the same time. So if I'm using my body, doing something physical like walking to work or exercise or chores around the house, I am able to use my brain while doing those physical things. So that might mean listening to an audiobook or a podcast, or just thinking about my business. And similarly, if I'm using my brain to work, I can then use my body to do something physical, like standing at my desk. I even have a...
Look at those stand-up desks. I want to get one of those. Like, does anyone here have one of those? Let me know in the comments below if you have one or if you've used one before and what you think about it.
Friend who has a treadmill that she walks on while she's on calls. I also have this spiky ball thing that I roll my foot on while I'm at my desk just to improve flexibility in my foot and lower leg. And if I'm on a call where I'm not really talking much and not on camera, I might stretch for 5 minutes. Anything you can do really to get some kind of movement in your body while you're working, I think is a really healthy habit to get into. So yeah, if you're using your brain or your body, think how can I use the other one at the same time? So yeah, those are my 4 kind of small, simple, but highly effective habits that honestly I reckon save me at least 20 hours every week.
So what do you guys think of this? Do you think that these habits could potentially save you a lot of time and give you more time to work on your business? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please like this video. It really helps out on the YouTube channel and I appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button and bell notification. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks.